We're in our series, Everyday People, and we've been looking at how our faith is worked out every day as we share in community and faith. And today, we're looking at celebration.
This is your celebration.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Who doesn't like a celebration? Any excuse for a party, right? Some people will tell you they're not party people and generally try to avoid such events.
This is your celebration.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
I'm glad some of you are slowly waking up this morning. It's going to be a long effort, isn't it? But how do we celebrate, and what is it we're celebrating? Some things are pretty obvious, such as a wedding or a birthday, or perhaps it's a New Year party or a festival of some kind. I think some of the reasons some people avoid such events is that they've become rather predictable. You know, just an excuse for loud music, excessive drinking, silly behaviour, and awkward conversations. But is this really celebration? I would say, yes, it is, but we seem to have lost a few key things in the mix these days. There we go. Culture fascinates me, and our changing culture intrigues me even more. We can often be so locked into our own local culture that we just accept certain things as normal, as the way it is. We often don't question why we're doing something. It's just done this way, and the meaning and significance gets lost. I would argue that many aspects of a culture I was familiar with as a child have now become lost, and we no longer see them as significant anymore. And we just don't celebrate them. Here's just two examples. So Whitsuntide is the week beginning on Whit Sunday, that's Pentecost Sunday, and especially features the first 3 days. It commemorates the descent of the Holy Spirit upon the disciples. And in the UK, it was historically the first major summer holiday, marked by processions, fairs, and Morris dancing. Whitsun comes from White Sunday, likely named for the white baptismal robes historically worn by those preparing to be baptized at Pentecost. And historically, the week of Whitsun was a pause in the agricultural year and functioned as a significant festive period for communities. And so there were Whit Monday parades in the regions of the UK, particularly in the northwest where I'm from. Communities held Whit walks featuring brass bands, girls dressed in white. There were fairs and sports and traditional festivities like Morris dancing, archery, county-specific pastimes such as scrambling for bread and cheese. It really was a big celebration. But what's happened? Well, now it's just become a random bank holiday because in 1971 it was replaced by the spring bank holiday, which typically takes place on the last Monday of May. And now there's just nothing to celebrate. Also, another example is the Harvest Festival, and a traditional celebration that occurs when the main crops are successfully gathered. Held annually around the autumn equinox, it centers on expressing gratitude for its successful growing season, feasting on fresh produce and preparing communities for the winter months. And dating back to the dawn of agriculture, harvest festivals are amongst the oldest human celebrations. Historically, they were deeply tied to community survival as the abundance of the harvest determined whether a village would endure the coming winter. Harvest celebrations look different depending on the culture, but many share common elements. You might be familiar with Thanksgiving. It's celebrated in the United States and Canada. This is a national holiday and is rooted in early autumn harvest gatherings, and is heavily focused on family feasting and giving thanks. In the United Kingdom, churches, schools, and communities often used to celebrate by decorating their places of worship with baskets of fruit and vegetables and woven loaves of bread. But now it's almost forgotten. Food doesn't look much different as it's available all the year round, and there's no sense of gathering in for the winter anymore. So we lose our reason to celebrate. In the Jewish culture, which Jesus grew up in and still is celebrated today, it was big on festivals and celebration. There was Passover, which commemorates the Israelites' liberation from slavery in Egypt. There was unleavened bread, which is a 7-day period directly following Passover, when no leavening is eaten, representing the haste of the Exodus. There was first fruits, celebrates the start of the barley harvest, offering the first portion of the crop to God. There was Pentecost and the Feast of Weeks, celebrating the summer wheat harvest, and later commemorating the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. There was the Feast of Trumpets, marks the civil new year with the blowing of the ram's horn to waken the people to repentance. There was the Day of Atonement, the holiest and most solemn day of the year, dedicated to fasting, prayer, and making atonement for sins. There was a Feast of Tabernacles, an autumn harvest festival where Jews dwell in temporary booths for 7 days to remember God's provision during the wilderness wanderings. There was also Purim, to celebrate the deliverance of the Jewish people from a planned genocide in the Persian Empire. And then there was a Hanukkah, or Feast of Dedication, celebrates the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. Exhausted? Life was anything but dull. Life, and more importantly, the living of life with God, was and is to be celebrated. And so today, for ourselves in our culture, what have we got to look forward to? Perhaps it's the next series of Strictly Come Dancing, or more recently, the World Cup, which apparently is something to do with a game called football. But all these are things to watch on television, yeah? Is it my life's purpose simply to celebrate someone else's winning a competition or a game? Is that what it's about? Let's have a look at this passage from John.
On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 80 to 120 liters. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so. And the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. but you have saved the best till now. What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him.
This is your celebration.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Traditionally, we look at this story about Jesus turning water into wine as a simple demonstration of Jesus' power to do miracles. And it's proof that he is indeed God's Son. But is Jesus really a show-off having to prove who he is? Is that what this is about? And I put it to you that there's far more to this episode than that. This wedding is a community celebration, lasting for probably days. And it's important that for everyone, that the event goes really well. The bride and the groom, they don't even feature in the story. The important aspect is that the celebration needs to keep going and that everyone can carry on celebrating with simply the best wine. Jesus reminds us and shows us that celebration is important. Celebrate every aspect of life. This is a reminder that there is much celebration in God's kingdom. Jesus is the one who brings joy and abundance. Celebration is an important part of belonging together and an important part of God's kingdom. Somehow we've been sold the idea that being in heaven means we'll be sitting on clouds all day playing our harps and singing praises to God. An unending worship service. Really?
This is your celebration.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
In the parable of the lost son, we often don't notice all the different layers that Jesus brings out in his teaching. The lost younger son returns home, having squandered everything. But the father organizes a massive celebration. The son's return is to be celebrated, no matter what. But the older son refuses to join in the celebrations. In fact, he rejects the celebration as being unfitting and undeserved. And is this not precisely our problem too? We're often unable or unwilling to celebrate because we only see ourselves and our own circumstances. We often miss what is going on around us and fail to see how God is at work in our daily lives. Perhaps it's because we live in a 24/7 culture every day of the year. We expect everything to be available to us all the time. We complain if we find something to be shut or unavailable. It's just not acceptable if we can't have access to what we want now. As a lot of you know, I am just so old. I remember when if you wanted to buy something, it really had to be cash in hand. Banks were closed after 3 p.m. and on Saturday and on Sunday, and occasionally for 3 days if there was a bank holiday on Monday. So you really needed to plan ahead if you wanted to buy something. It was a real achievement when you actually bought it. You appreciated it, and it was a cause for celebration. I remember when, if the phone rang, you actually got excited. Somebody wanted to speak to you. It was an occasion. You celebrated as you could afford a phone and were able to make a phone call. If someone phoned from a long distance, albeit for a maximum of 10 minutes, you celebrated and talked about it for days. I remember if you wanted to eat strawberries, you had to wait until June when they were in season. It was an honor to serve them with cream, and it was a real party time. And at church, we had a real sense of jubilation if a child was christened, or there was a wedding, or there was a reason, or everything was a reason for a good procession, yeah? And now we just get upset if the confetti is not biodegradable, or if we need to put our best clothes on. Somehow we've lost our sense of occasion. Here's a big long list. And I don't know what you know of English culture from times past, but it was rich with celebrations and festivals where all the community came together. Some of these celebrations lasted for several days. Everyone was there because nothing else was open or happening anyway. Some were Christian celebrations and some were just a part of life. There was a fundamental difference between those days and where we are now. Life was precious then. It was often hard and difficult. Your health, welfare, food and home, your family, friends and community were not to be taken for granted. So you took every opportunity to celebrate and say, thank goodness we're alive, that we're here, and that we have what we have. Tomorrow will be uncertain, so let's celebrate today. There was deep faith there, a recognition of how important it is to rely on what God has provided, the blessings received. Today, we couldn't be further from this. We're all about self-satisfaction and our own achievement. Look what I've got. I'm fine, thanks.
This is your celebration.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Jesus, time and again, is to be found celebrating with everyday people in their everyday lives. He's not a part, but is a part of their lives and celebrations. Jesus often likens the kingdom of heaven to a feast or a banquet. Being with God is one big celebration, and we are invited. There are no exceptions. It's not our ability to play the harp which we should be worried about, or indeed the wearing of the right clothes. Are we ready for feasting and partying? There are no early nights here. No. In centuries gone by, life was very different, and it's reflected in the writing of those times. Times of joy were always followed by times of sorrow. You feasted now while you had the food because you knew there'd be times of famine ahead. If there was peace in the land, you rejoiced because war and cries of battle would often be around the corner. More and more people these days find life a struggle. Everything seems uphill, a cause for anxiety and worry. We saw the devastation that a global pandemic can bring, and currently we're experiencing heat waves that are seriously affecting our water and food supplies, and our physical health on a mental capacity. And we often have nothing to celebrate because we're not engaged. We can't celebrate because our personal world is too small. Life is all just about me and the private individual. We're so busy thinking about progress in life, moving on, that we never celebrate just being. Being alive and thankful for what God is giving us in this particular moment. We've lost this in our culture in the simplest of things, like the strawberries. There's nothing special about a strawberry anymore. You can eat them on Christmas Day. We want a 24/7 lifestyle, and this makes us thankful for very little. Sometimes we simply don't feel like celebrating. The world is all about me and my circle of family and friends, and we shut ourselves away because that makes us feel safe. But we see in the Bible that Jesus takes us far beyond that. Yes, he does draw to one side to contemplate and reflect, as Kim explained last week. That's so important. But equally, we encounter a Jesus who's out and about, meeting with people. He goes to the Jewish celebrations and festivals. He joins in and shares in community. Jesus calls us to be part of a bigger whole. That's where we belong. We need to tune in to life around us. Audio, video, disco. Your Latin's good, isn't it? Audio, video, disco. That's Latin for I hear, audio, I see, video, disco, not dancing, I learn. Yeah? And we can only celebrate what we've learnt, what we've seen, what we've understood and experienced. We've got a welcome team in church who welcome people here. And I feel welcoming is something we manage very well in church. People joining the church often say how welcome they feel. It's interesting to learn how this word and concept has had a complete cultural shift from its original meaning. Today, we see ourselves as the people who do the welcoming to people who come through the door. But in Old English, this was originally two words, well-comer. Well and comer. A welcomer would be a welcome visitor or a good guest or a person whose arrival is pleasing. It's the person's arrival that is to be celebrated. This person brings good things. This person will make us well. They broaden our minds and our understanding, and we celebrate them. How we've changed. We have now become suspicious of anyone we don't know. Are they to be trusted? But this is exactly who Jesus is, a welcomer. His arrival is to be celebrated. He comes to us and makes us well. We are the ones who benefit from his arrival. Isn't that what we celebrate when we come to church? Jesus has come to our community and we feel well in our minds, well in our souls, well in our bodies. Jesus is the welcomer. The coming of Jesus is that very source of celebration. Jesus comes for everyone. He never said, worship me. Worship of Jesus is rather harmless and risk-free. He asks us to follow him. It's only by following Jesus in very practical ways that we end up changing the world. Jesus is to be found with the poor and the outsider. Jesus is to be found with the weak and the oppressed. Jesus is to be found with those who suffer and those who are overlooked. And when we see what happens, when we too are found in company of many different people, then indeed we have cause for celebration. We see lives valued and transformed. So, some things for you to consider. What are our important celebrations? What are they for, and how do we celebrate them? And as a Christian community, do we need to rediscover lost celebrations? And I've put Whitsuntide, for example, there. And what new celebrations should we be having where we can come together and really party? Yeah? I hope you're into good partying. And I will finish with this. I would argue that here at St. John's, we're learning to celebrate anew. We're rather shy about it, not quite ready for a full-blown party, but many of us are deeply moved when people come to the front, for instance, and share things. Or there's a baptism, for example. We shed a tear, we give a hug, all part of celebrating how precious life is. And we're pretty good at clapping as well. And we'll probably do it throughout the whole service if we're given half a chance. We like doing that. And only this last week, as the photos here show, we took part in the annual summer festival that is known as Play in the Park. How good it all is. We're part of the whole community, and we celebrate together with our burgers, our cake, our craft, and our toilet cleaning. It's celebrated through happy chatter and children playing. And we're thankful for a nice day and just belonging. And in the midst of it all, Jesus moves, unaware to some, but as always, he is here in the simpleness of our celebration.
To last throughout the years.
So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gonna celebrate your party with you. Come on. Celebration.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time.
Celebration.
We're gonna celebrate and have a good time.
It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure?
Everyone around the world, come on.
It's your celebration.
Celebrate good times, come on. Celebrate good times, come on.
There's a party going on right here, a celebration to last throughout the years.
So bring your